Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into the exact moment an ontology stops being just a theoretical outline and actually comes alive. It's kind of like turning an architectural blueprint into a real physical building with people actually walking around inside. We're taking that leap from abstract concepts to real functional data by mastering individuals in Protege. If you've been building classes and wondering, okay, how do I actually use these to represent the real world? Well, you're in the right place.
Here's our quick roadmap for the explainer today. We'll start with classes versus individuals, then move into creating Protege individuals. After that, we'll tackle object and data properties, explore the sheer power of reasoning, and wrap up by learning how to avoid some common modeling mistakes. All right, let's jump right into section 1, classes versus individuals. This really gets to the heart of the fundamental difference we need to grasp. Think of a class as your general category. It tells us what kind of thing something is, like a person, a university, or a course. But an ontology without any real data is basically just an empty shell. That's where specific instances come in. The individual represents the exact specific thing we're talking about. So the category is person, but the specific instance is Rahul. The category is university, but the specific individual is Delhi University. To put a formal definition on it, an individual is a specific instance of a class that represents a real person, place, organization, or object in an ontology. Honestly, if you only have classes, your ontology is a bit of a ghost town. It tells you what types of entities can exist, but nobody's actually living there yet. Individuals are what turn that conceptual structure into a vibrant, real-world scenario. Moving right along to section 2, creating Protege individuals. The great news here is that Protege makes this incredibly straightforward. No complex coding required, it's just a simple 3-step process. First up, you navigate to the Individuals by Class tab in your workspace. Next, you look at your class hierarchy and select the category you want to populate. Say you click on Student. And third, you just hit the button to create a new individual and give it a name, like Rahul. Boom! Just like that, you've created your very first actual example of a student in your ontology. Now, there's a really crucial distinction we need to make right here. When you add Rahul, you are explicitly saying Rahul is an instance of student. You are absolutely not saying Rahul is a subclass of student. It's super easy for beginners to confuse classes with individuals because they both show up as entities in Protege. But mixing up a specific person for a subcategory will fundamentally break how your semantic model operates. What's really fascinating, though, is the incredible flexibility OWL ontologies give us. You see, an individual isn't locked into just one box. A single entity can play multiple roles naturally. For instance, Rahul can be an instance of the student class, but he might also work a part-time job, which makes him an instance of the employee class too. We don't have to create 2 different duplicate versions of Rahul in the software. It's the exact same individual belonging to multiple classes, which perfectly mirrors the complexity of the actual real world. Let's dive into section 3, object and data properties. The first way we start connecting these things is through an object property. By definition, this is a relationship that connects one ontology individual directly to another ontology individual. So if we have the individual Rahul and the individual Delhi University, we can create an object property called studiesAt to bridge them together. Now our ontology actually understands that Rahul studies at Delhi University. It's connecting object to object. That works perfectly for connecting 2 entities. But what if we want to store something like Rahul's age? Age isn't another individual entity floating around in our ontology. A person's age is just a value, right? And that is exactly where data properties come to the rescue. A data property is a relationship that connects an ontology individual to a literal value. We're talking things like text, integers, booleans, or dates. So rather than connecting Rahul to another complex object, we use a data property called hasAge to connect Rahul directly to the literal number 22. Getting this comparison down is literally the golden rule of ontology modeling. If the destination of your relationship is another entity inside your ontology, you need an object property. But if the destination is a text string, a number, or a date, you need a data property. Nailing this logic is exactly what makes your ontology machine-readable and highly functional. Definitely commit this one to memory. Section 4, the power of reasoning. Let's trace how this logical sequence actually plays out. Up in your classes, you define a hierarchy. Student is a subclass of person. Then, down in individuals, you state a fact. Rahul is an instance of a student.
Now, when you fire up a reasoner in Protege, it automatically infers the next logical step. Rahul is a person. Notice how we never had to manually type in that Rahul is a person? The system figured it out entirely on its own, based on the rules we set up.
The formula really sums it up beautifully. When you combine your individuals, class definitions, and properties, you aren't just storing static data, you're actively generating new knowledge. Individuals in an ontology aren't just records sitting on a shelf waiting to be read. They interact with your rules to deduce facts that were never explicitly stated. That's a real game changer.
Let's wrap things up with Section 5, Avoiding Common Modeling Mistakes.
When you're just starting out, it's incredibly tempting to just make absolutely everything a class. The best way to break this habit is to constantly ask yourself this one guiding question. Is this a category of things or one particular thing? If it's a category, go ahead and model it as a class. But if it's a specific real-world example of that category, it absolutely must be modeled as an individual. Another super common pitfall is misusing those data properties we talked about. Consider a poor modeling scenario where you state, Rahul studies at the plain text string Delhi University. Why is that a bad move? Because to Protege, a text string is a total dead end. It's literally just letters. It can't have its own properties. The strong modeling approach is to make Delhi University an individual entity. By connecting two individuals with an object property, Delhi University can now have its own rich data, like a physical location, a list of courses, or an establishment date. And that leads us to this really vital comparison. It's so easy to look at individuals and think, oh, they're just like rows in a standard database. But they are profoundly different. Database rows are static records stored in isolated, rigid tables. Ontology individuals, on the other hand, exist within a formal, thinking, semantic model. They don't just sit there, they actively interact with hierarchies, properties, and reasoners to form this incredible web of intelligent, logical inference. So to synthesize everything we've covered in today's explainer, I want you to think of your ontology as being built on these 4 pillars of usable knowledge. We start off with classes to define our concepts, then we use object properties to map out relationships, and data properties to assign attributes. Finally, we populate this entire world with individuals, the real examples. Mastering how these 4 pillars interact is exactly what transforms a dry, abstract outline into a powerful, thinking, machine-understandable graph. I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder as we close out today's explainer. How will you use individuals to turn your abstract concepts into a living, reasoning knowledge graph? The tools are sitting right there in Protege, just waiting for you. It's time to fire up the software, apply these concepts, and start building actual real-world meaning into your own models. Thank you so much for exploring this with me today, and happy modeling.